My name is Rich Paredes, and I've been with SUSE for 13 years. I started here as a dedicated support engineer working for a Wall Street company, and um, pretty much since then I've been in the Premium Services organization. Fun fact, I am a professional pizza sampler living in New York, New Jersey area. There's tons of different types of pizza, and so before the pandemic, I pretty much visited as many pizzerias as I could just to try to find the ultimate slice. When I do help customers, it's typically to diagnose issues that they have with their cluster configuration or their SAP configurations. And what I like to do a lot of times is I don't just provide them with a root cause of their issues. I like to provide kind of like a play-by-play of what I see that happened before, during, and after, and it's kind of a way that I feel helps to educate the customer so that, during future issues, they might be able to really support themselves and be able to kind of educate themselves further in their journey to the cloud. A typical working day, I typically get up at a normal time, try to get up and start work by 8 or 9. I like to use lists, so typically, I have a daily list of work items that I like to complete, typically like looking at existing bugs, looking at new knowledge base articles, just overall going through a list of all the items that are going to help me do my job better every day. And then from there, I try to do, I kind of wear many hats. So I jump into any sort of support cases that I have open at the time. On top of that, I also like to get some documentation done, writing knowledge base articles or improving on any sort of documentation that's available for our public cloud customers. And then also doing some development on some engineering support projects I have going on. Well, I have a lot of those stories, but really the story I like the best is not one particular story, but the issues that tend to be more difficult in scope, right? So there's been plenty of issues where it's really open as to what the root cause should be, and really an issue that requires really a deep dive into all aspects of the environment and the the environment, the configuration, and really a problem that might not have had an existing solution, right? Something that's not known, finding out and uncovering an issue that might help future customers, right, that might hit the same issue. So a lot of times it's an issue that was caught early on, right, with maybe the first customer that saw the issue, and then being able to find the root cause of that issue and then documenting that issue. Those are really my favorite ones, those challenging cases that they were to solve. Yeah, the top 3 tips, the first tip I have is, all of our public cloud providers have validated documentation on their sites. We also have validated documentation on our site for some of the CSPs. And really, I think if you follow the validated documentation or you use the cloud automation templates, I think already half the battle is won there. So that would be my first suggestion, is always use validated documentation or the cloud automation templates. The second thing I would recommend always is to make sure that you test and do more testing to make sure that ultimately your expectations are met with what you would expect the cluster to do in any scenario that you might come across. So as long as you're testing then when the actual issue happens in production, you should know what you need to do during that time. And we have plenty of documentation and test procedures for you to go through to test your cluster either before it goes into production or during certain times. You should also test out that everything's working as it should during certain maintenance windows. The third thing I would recommend is to document. Document also while testing. So have a run book, right, available where you actually know exactly what you need to do in case of a failover or in case of something unexpected that's happening. It's obviously, when the issue is actually happening, things are moving fast. So really, you want to have something written down so you can reference that in order to get the environment back up and running, so that your production situation is resolved.
You've just heard more top tips and fun facts from our SAP experts. If you liked the video, subscribe to the SUSE channel and watch the AWS playlist.